Oh, I didn't realize we were rolling. Howdy, folks. This is another Bonnet Jaden in the House episode. I wanted to talk about the recent 10 miles I ran and kind of the mentality that I had because I feel like that's kind of the key to unlocking this. A lot of people tell me, like, oh, I want to run, but I couldn't because of my asthma, or I couldn't because of my legs, or I couldn't because of this, that, and the third. My legs hurt when I run. I have trouble breathing when I first started running. I had asthma. I still run flat footed. All of the excuses that people say are like the reasons that they can't run. I've experienced all of those. Only difference is running's like therapy to me. I really, really like to run, and so I've powered through it. So I've been running for a couple months now. I want to say since November at least, but I always run. So like I'm always running year round, but I've been consistently running since at least last year. And now it's March, and I've finally been able to run 10 miles at one time. Very proud of that. Now, the reason that I want to talk about the mentality of it is because when it comes to running, if you can run 1 or 2 miles without getting winded, you're conditioned in running. There's not going to be any amount of miles that are going to make you all of a sudden tired or like you're just not going to be able to do. I say that because like I tend to keep the same pace. I'm about 850 running, and anything over 4 miles. Now, granted, if you're like running a faster pace than that, of course you're gonna tire out more fast. Blah blah blah. You can condition and work that up. But I feel like I can keep about an 850 pace almost indefinitely. Now, the other part of that is the wear and tear on your body, which means like the soreness that you feel while running, and like just the inevitable like willingness or like wanting to stop. So you might be like low on energy, but you're not going to be like out of breath, really wheezing once you're conditioned to running. I feel like that's a myth that a lot of people believe. So I started this 4 mile journey, and if you've seen this channel, or this 10 mile journey, and if you've seen this channel, you know that whenever I run the 4 mile route, I kind of run out to the rear of my neighborhood, then I run out to the typical stop sign that I go to, which is for my 2 mile route, then I run down to the other end of the block, and then I run back home. So for this 10 mile thing, I was thinking about it all week because I knew it was coming up. I'm like, how am I going to run this? And I calculated it, and I made sure that it was something that I felt like I could, accomplish. I didn't want to like run it how I'd run my like 5 and 6 mile routes, because I don't want to be like 5 miles on the road, get injured or get tired or something, and then I like 5 miles from my house and not able to come home. So I did it smart. And what I did was I decided to run my 4 mile route twice in the neighborhood, which is about the max distance I'm going to run within my neighborhood block without leaving. And then I ran my 2 mile route at the very end, which was kind of like if you've managed to run 8 miles straight, the 4 mile route 2 times, you can run 2 miles. 2 miles is nothing. I can do that any day, anytime. Like, no water, no prep, no nothing, like 2 miles. So that's what I did. And the psyche of it, the physical, the psychological implementations of the feat are always mental. Like, it's not about how conditioned my body was at the time. It's not about how much water I drank or if I'm running with the right shoes or none of that. All of that's in your mind. We're getting there. Let me continue. So for me, whenever I run multiple miles, like let's say I'm running 4, 5, 6 miles, which was what I was running the week before, I hit 10 for the first time in like years. The hardest miles are always 1 through 3. 1 through 3 are always the hardest. Doesn't matter how conditioned I am, doesn't matter how much I prepped, blah blah blah. And you would think it'd be like the last couple miles because you're like pushing yourself to continue and like finish. But the mentality is different. The first 1 through 3 miles, you're psyching yourself up, and I also feel like it's because I'm warming up my body. But I'm psyching myself out. I'm like, bro, I should have drank more water. I need new shoes. I need to do this. I need to do that. I should have did this. Should have rolled out more. I should have blah, 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 blah. I shouldn't have been on my feet as much earlier in the day. Like, all those things are going through my head. I haven't fully convinced myself at that point in the run that I can even run it, that it's even possible. So what do? I can just continue to push through. There's always like these little tidbits in my mind that's like, yo, we should stop. Like, if I stop here, it's going to be okay. Nobody's over my shoulder. No coach is telling me what to do. I can just stop at any point in time. Remember that. I'm tired. This hurts. I'm going to injure myself. I didn't drink enough water. If I stop, I can run better later. Blah, blah. Like, all of these excuses. You can't negotiate with those voices. They're gonna keep you from being great. It might seem easy now, and like there's points of time where there's a voice in my mind audible that's saying, I can't do it, I need to stop right now. There's that one voice that's on the other side that's like, no, keep going, push through, finish strong, don't give up. That voice is the one that I have to listen to and hang on to throughout the entire stretch of the run. Because if at any point in time I start to negotiate, like, oh, it is right, I should have did that. Like, once it starts to take over my conscience, and once I'm like, if I stop up here, it'll be okay. I've still done pretty good up to this point, blah, blah, blah. I just won't. And so when I was running 1 through 3, all of those things were going through my mind. Now, by the time that I hit the 4, 5, 6 mark, which is about halfway, feasibly speaking, then I started to say, okay, it hurts a lot. I really want to stop, but I feel like I can do this. I hadn't fully convinced myself. I'm like, I feel like if I just kept pushing, I might be able to pull it off. That's what's going on in my head as a whole. And so I'm like, I'm pushing it hard. I've worked myself up. I ran the 4 miles. I'm on my second 4-mile stretch right now. And I'm like, okay, this is my mentality. I go out to that back end of the neighborhood and I'm like, hey, I don't have to run here again. I've run that enough. I go out to the stop sign and I'm like, hey, once I hit this stop sign one more time, I'm running home and I'm done for good. Go down to the other end of the block for my 3 mile. The third mile of the second 4-mile stretch. So I'm 7 miles in now. I'm like, hey, I can run 3 miles on the day. Like, if you give me enough time and prep, I can run 3 miles. I can do that. It's within reach now. I run back home. I finish that second 4-mile stretch. I'm at 8 miles now. 8 miles. I'm at the house. And when I tell you, mentally, I'm at the place of like, it's just a 2-mile run. Like, that's the final stretch. That's that little gap. 2 miles is nothing. I can do 2 miles anytime on site. Like, I'm feeling it, right? But that, like, by that time, my body was actually fatigued. My body was, starting to slow down. And I recognized that. Let me butt in for a second point here. So, I have this philosophy that the faster you run, the faster you get done. If you run slower, the run's going to be more miserable because you're going to be in the same spot for longer. You're going to get bored. Those thoughts have more time to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. You're not convincing yourself like, hey, I can finish this because you're running slow anyway. But that's a whole different thing. So I'm pushing myself physically, like I'm having to fight my body that wants to run slower because by now, at this point, it's tired. We're coming up on 9 miles in. Like, exhaustion is not mental at this point. The exhaustion is physical and real. So I remember turning in front of my house, because if you've seen my route, I turn in front of my house, or I start in front of my house, and I finish in front of my house. So I'm turning to go down to that 2 mile, and when I tell you, like, my body just wanted to, like, stop right there and walk, but I had to, like, physically pump energy into the muscles in my arms and my legs to say, hey, no, we're still going. We are still going. Wanted to cut corners. I was like, nope, that's not the route. Run the route. At this point, I'm like, hey, I now have to hold myself accountable for the other me that ran the 8 to 9 miles just to get here. Like, if I stopped here, I'd be mad that I ran 9 miles and didn't finish the 10. If I stopped here, I'd be mad back at the house whenever I'm recovering, because that's another thing. Whenever I recover, I always feel like, bro, I could have did more. I could have did better. I could have ran harder, whatever. That little voice keeps me going, because it's like, now I have to earn my relaxation. Now I want it to be like, I can rest now. I can get this water now because I ran 10 miles nonstop. Because I can roll out now and stretch and feel good and relax and post my little picture of like the sports tracker app saying that I ran 10 miles straight, and not have to be like, oh, well, I paused in between there technically. Like, I can own up to it and say, this was an accomplishment that I did. That's what kept me going. It was like, you want it, earn it. Nobody else is going to get it from me. Nobody else even would have knew. If I were to hit pause on the workout 8 miles in, rested for 30 seconds to a minute or however long, and then started back up and kept running and came back, nobody would have ever knew. They would have been like, oh, Alan ran 10 miles. Congratulations, good job. Same thing. But for me, on the inside, I'm like, dang, how cool would it have been to say, like, I ran that 10 miles straight? That's what I wanted for myself. And so I continued to push through, and I did that. That last stretch coming up, I'm like, bro, this is like, it felt like, oh my God, I need to stop ASAP. Like, bro, I'm doing too much. I bit off more than I can chew. But at this point, those voices are minuscule compared to the ones that's like, bro, we made it all the way here. It's right there within your grasp. Like, bro, it's right there. Bro, it's right there. I'm coming up on the last stretch. I'm like, bro, it's right there. Second to last corner. I hit the corner. I'm like, hey, home stretch now. Like, there's no reason you ain't gonna make it. I've done more with worse, less with more, or less with better. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm coming up on the house. Don't cut them corners. I earned it full and full. Feeling great about myself. Easy 10 miles. Felt like I probably could have did 1 or 2 more miles on top of that. Today I ended up running 5 miles because the schedule said that it was an easy day. Take it easy on yourself, because we ran 10 miles yesterday. Ran 5 miles. I wanted to quit. Once again, miles 1 through 3. I'm like, bro, it's rough. I don't want to do this. Like, it hurts. I want to like have 2 days to let my body recover. Didn't even do it. It's like, oh, I ran 10 miles yesterday. I should like cut this workout short, or I should only run 3, or run 3, stop for a while, run the last. Like, no, earn it through and through. That way you can like enjoy it and relish in it that much more than be like, I did it, but technically, or like I am, but not. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that this is my philosophy that I've learned over like running more and more and like more intensely and blah blah blah. And I think that progressively, like, that's the same mentality that I'm gonna have to have for the marathon. It's going to be extremely physically taxing. It's going to be something I've never done before. And the first 10 miles, I know for sure I can do, because I just did 10 miles out there. Now the second 10 miles is going to be like, whoo, okay. I've done the first one, do it all over again. That's the second 10 miles. That's 20 miles. Marathon is 26.9, I think. So now it's like the final 6 to 7 miles. It's like, it's just a final stretch at this point. I can do 6 miles. I do 6 miles every other day during the week. I can do 6 miles. But can I do that extra 6 miles after I'm 20 miles back? Like, I ran 20 miles to get here, and then it's a 6-mile run. I think that's how it works. Never run a marathon before. But we're on this journey together. We're still going. So, yeah. New runners out there, let me know how you doing. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think about running? What kind of music you listen to? I listen to all kind of music. It could be rock, jazz, R&B, of course, rap, anything that can keep me going. There's there's like fast-paced songs that make me run fast-paced, and there's other songs that I can like coast and cruise to, and I'm thinking about like a million different things. About like, what did this person do today? What about that? What's this, like, anything to keep my mind off of like, this hurts, I should probably stop. Don't negotiate with those voices. Stay hard. See you tomorrow.
Let me show you something.